And I'm back. I really couldn't record for quite a while because the heat wave was just brutal that we had. It was pretty much 1 week or 10 days roughly of really high temperatures, all above 30, and then the nights not dropping really below 20 something, and which meant that somehow like the house just doesn't cool down at one point. Like it gets heated up and then it just accumulates this heat, and then it just doesn't cool down because the nights, like the lowest temperature of the day, isn't low enough to really significantly cool down the house. I did manage to get like a monoblock AC, which is like the least efficient type of AC you could ever get. And I don't think they even sell them in that many countries, or at least they are barely bought. But they are very popular here in Germany and probably also some other parts of Europe. But they are very inefficient. They are also extremely loud, but it was all I could get. There's like this better alternative, which is pretty close basically to what most countries with ACs have. They are called those split ACs, right? Where you have something inside that blows the cold air, and then you have a unit outside. And that's basically the most efficient and best type of AC. Problem is that in Germany you cannot really easily install it. You need someone to do it for you, and then it's really costly. And obviously a lot of Germans, they don't own, they rent. So when you rent, you cannot think about it at all. And then those monoblocks, they are very attractive because they are very simple to get. They are not that expensive. And yeah, you don't have to really do anything to the apartment. You just put it into your room. You have to connect it with like this huge tube, and then that has to go out the window, and that's it. There's this one specific product though that is maybe, I don't know if it's the most sought after product, at least of June, I think, and maybe July in Germany, and that is the Midea Porta Split, which is kind of a split AC, but it's not a fixed split AC. So basically, you just put it into your room, the inside unit, and then you do have a unit outside, but it is not fixed. Like you don't have to drill holes or something and fix it into the house. So that's why this machine is so sought after. It's completely sold out. I don't know if there will be even any new Midea Porta splits this month, like in July. I did hear that Midea, like this Chinese company, that they are sending out more to Europe, but that news came like yesterday, I think. So it's the earliest, I would say, end of July that those will arrive here in Germany. But let's see. I mean, we do have the monoblock. I do hope to get a Midea Porta split in the future. If I can't get it this summer, I'm just gonna try and get it in winter when it's hopefully, first of all, easier to get, and second of all, maybe even a bit cheaper. Let's see. Yeah, there hasn't really been much going on in my life. I've been trying to get into, not trying actually, I got into the online university. I think I've already talked about it. To be honest, I don't even fully remember the things I talk about in each rambling video because I just ramble, and usually when I ramble, I don't really, it's not really meaningful. It's just a way, I don't know. It's just an activity I do, I guess. And so I also typically don't remember exactly what I was talking about, especially since I'm talking on my own. This is not something I'm used to be honest, right? Usually I just talk with other people. And I think those conversations, they're probably more natural. And also I don't have to talk all the time, right? And I also tend to remember them better. Though I would have to say that even those conversations, and I think it's normal, right, that you don't remember sometimes even the majority of what you were talking about. Since a lot of just chatting with friends, talking with friends, it's not like there's a specific purpose, right? It's not like you always just trying to figure something out or get something from someone. You're just having fun. You're just talking, and that's it. And so it's also not really that important sometimes to remember a lot of the things you talk about. Of course, there's certain things that are more likely to remember, like any kind of live updates people give you. But yeah, I hope you have a drink if you're planning to listen to this entire thing, which I highly doubt. I don't think there's really that many people, or really barely anyone, who probably has listened to one full rambling episode. But if you did, really huge respect to you, and I also really appreciate it. I hope there's a reason you listened to it. Maybe you really enjoyed it. I don't know. Anyways, I'm having the remainder of a cup of black tea. And I was also too lazy to remove the tea bag. It's a really cheap one though. So I feel like even if I leave it inside, I feel like there is just not that much to extract from this tiny tea bag anyways. So it doesn't really get bitter, and I don't think there's too many tannins that get extracted. But usually it makes sense to kind of follow the instructions and not oversteep your tea. Like if it says 3 to 5 minutes, really stick to 3 to 5 minutes, because afterwards you're more likely to just end up extracting more tannins and things that basically aren't advantageous to good flavor. But yeah, you may have noticed, I don't know if you're actually watching or just listening, but for those who are not watching, I'm wearing a football shirt, and it's from the Germany national team. Because Germany yesterday was last night actually. Germany played the best of what was it? Best of 32 round against Paraguay, and unfortunately we lost, which to me was quite a big surprise. At least beforehand, I would say I didn't expect that at all. But watching the game yesterday, it wasn't too surprising. I wouldn't say it was necessarily deserved to lose. I think we could have also won, and it would have been a fair result. But I would say, given the expectations that we typically have of the German national team, they seriously underdelivered. And I feel like a lot of German fans, even though we are sad, we are also not overly sad, because I think a lot of us feel like, we just didn't play good, really, except maybe the first Curaçao game. Besides that, we just weren't good enough. And we would have probably gone out of the tournament anyways in the next round if we were to face France, which I think is highly likely gonna win. Like today, after tonight, we're gonna know, because France is playing Sweden, and whoever wins is gonna play against Paraguay. But it's obviously an extra embarrassment to crash out of the tournament against Paraguay, which on paper is a much weaker team, and also just individually, especially that. Like individually, they have much less big names compared to Germany. But I think Germany just has really bad tactics. Like not just that, maybe the players are also an issue, but I really feel like the main issue, like this is like such a big issue, it really is the coach, like the manager. Like the German national team manager, Julian Nagelsmann, I think most football fans are not very keen on him. I myself am a Bayern Munich fan, and so I'm kind of more familiar with him. He also was a Bayern coach for not too long, to be honest. And then he got booted out. But now I think it's really obvious that I think he wasn't the right choice for the Germany national team. I really hope that he gets, like he said he's not planning to, to step down, and he wants to stay. But I think most fans really want him to step down, and if he doesn't step down, I think still most people hope that he's gonna get fired. I still wish him the best, of course. Maybe he can coach like some other Bundesliga team and just show what he's got. But so far, I really don't think he has really shown at all what he's got. Not much at all, at least. And his tactics are very questionable. Like also his personnel choice was very questionable, and I think there was generally like a huge discussion coming into this World Cup. Like just, I don't know why, but he also just his communication was really bad. Like also he just kept saying certain things and then kept doing different things to what he actually said. So, and his overall communication throughout the World Cup also was really bad. Like it almost hurt me sometimes to see or listen to what he was saying. Like, he got overly defensive. Like, he couldn't take any criticism. Like, he always took it extremely personally, and that really paints a pretty negative image, I would say, on yourself if you always act like that as the national team manager. Anyways, I think the World Cup, at least from a German perspective, is pretty much done. So I don't know. Of course, I was sad yesterday night, but I was almost even more annoyed that I had to stay up so late until like 1:30 a.m. just to see us lose on penalties. But yeah, it is what it is. I was still gonna stay up to support. And honestly, it's not really the penalty. Honestly, I don't really feel any kind of. I don't feel bad about that at all, really, because penalties are just such a luck thing. And I think they're very interesting to watch from a neutral perspective because you can really, really feel, almost taste the tension in the air, like also just the amount of pressure on the players. And I think it can be quite interesting as a neutral. But yeah, if it's your team, of course you're gonna hate going into penalties, especially when you're the team that has been trying to score, which is Germany, right? Paraguay had the goal to get into penalties at some point at least. It was pretty obvious. So for them, I think it was nice to get into it. Germany, on the other hand, was trying to not go into penalties by scoring the winner, right? By scoring the winning goal. Anyways, but yeah, I think we wouldn't have made it far anyways. It's in retrospect, it might even be better that we got out earlier because then I think the chances of Nagelsmann leaving or getting kicked out are higher than if he made it into the next round. But with that said, I'm still gonna continue watching the World Cup. I think it's still a pretty good World Cup so far. Like, there's been so many good games. There's been so much drama, basically, especially like in terms of the third place thing that's new, right? Like 8 out of the 12 third ranked teams have made it into the round of 32, and that has made for some very interesting things. And I don't know if you've been following the World Cup, but South Korea, for example, has also seriously underdelivered this time, and then they were kind of hoping to still squeeze into the knockout rounds by being within the best 8 third placed teams, but then they ended up just basically, I think there were like still 10 games or something, or I don't know how many more games were gonna be played, but a lot, and they just needed like a few of those to go their way so that they could make it in, but in the end almost every single game didn't go their way. Like for example, let's say they needed like Team A to win against Team B, and Team A generally is seen as the better team than Team B, but Team B. But then in the end, Team B won or something like that. And this kept happening and happening. And then South Korea also got kicked out. But I think the reaction there from the fans was also pretty interesting because I also saw, of course, a lot of people were hoping for their team to advance, but I saw a lot of Korean fans also actually wishing that Korea doesn't advance. Like, they were like, we have played so shitty like this tournament, except maybe the first game. Honestly, the parallels to Germany are actually interesting. But anyways, they were saying like, we've played so badly, and they really hated their manager. So they were really hoping for Korea actually to not advance, because they were like, yeah, even if we advance, even if we advance, we're just gonna get eliminated in the next one, and then maybe the manager doesn't get kicked out, and so on and so forth. And yeah, in the end, they didn't get on. I think the manager, Hong Myung-bo, has already stepped down. So I think that's already a good step in the right direction for Korean soccer fans or football fans. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of this whole discussion. It's like really not modern, I guess, at this point. But there's always been this discussion about soccer and football, and I think any kind of European or even South American people who are into football, a lot of those, they get triggered when it gets called soccer, which the Americans do, right? And I think Australia does it too, and maybe a few more countries. But anyways, I personally really don't care. I think I prefer language generally to be clear, or at least like just basically based on context. If it helps my like the other person to understand what I'm saying more easily, then I'm probably gonna use that word, as long as it's not like something extremely offensive, right? And I would argue that soccer isn't inherently an offensive word. Like if I'm talking to an American person and I want to describe that I like watching football, then I might say I like watching soccer. It's because, if I say football, American person might rather assume that I'm talking about American football, which I am not. So using soccer just gets my point across better and more easily, I think. Yeah, that's enough about football anyways. Because I assume that the majority of those listening aren't very interested in it. But to be honest, actually at this point, anyone who's still here after 15 minutes might not be too negatively inclined towards football, I guess. But yeah, today I've been feeling a bit tired because of the heat wave. It's not that we still have a heat wave. Don't get me wrong, it's not cold either. But I think after the heat wave, my perception of what is too warm and what isn't has increased quite a bit. At least it will last on for a few weeks, I think. Like today, I think it still gets up to like 29, but now 20, something with a 2 in front just seems like not warm at all anymore. Because like the last 10 days were always like 35 plus, I think, throughout the day. But anyways, like the heat still took its toll on my body, I think. I probably will need a few days to slowly recover from it. I already feel the fatigue also when I'm talking right now. My head is a bit slower and I feel like my speech muscles are kind of tired. But yeah, that's kind of a disadvantage of the heat. And I mean, even a fully healthy person, a normal person, gets affected quite a bit by the heat, right? Like, I don't think there's anyone who's gonna be like, yeah, if it's like 30 something degrees at home, I work like I have peak performance, right? Like I do like the best work I can do. I don't think there's anyone like that, or barely anyone like that. But yeah, that's why I haven't been making videos. I actually had like a ton of recordings like within 1 week or something. And then I took a break basically, and now I'm recording video number 4. But yeah, I'm glad that I have done 3 videos already. It's like, if I think about it, like in terms of just pure content duration, it's quite a lot. It's like more than an hour, which is a lot, I would say, for YouTube. But to be fair, of course, I do like very minimalist, very low effort content. And yeah, I think it does get reflected in the viewership. But it's not my goal, right? Like, I just want to get some stuff done. I want to challenge myself and see how much I can do with my current condition. And I just want to put stuff out there, really. That's what motivates me to do these videos. But it's also really important to me, or it's very attractive, I guess, that I don't really have to do too much to deliver these videos. All I have to do is sit here and talk, which is, to be honest, a very fun thing for me. And the remaining stuff isn't that fun, but it's manageable. So yeah, I think that's what matters. And then maybe in the future I will do some other videos, maybe content that I have for a longer time been wanting to do, which I'm not gonna share about that yet. And of course, if I maybe do end up posting that kind of content one day, I might also advertise it on this channel. But if I do it, it's gonna be on a different channel for sure, because it's very unrelated to what I'm doing here right now, I would say. And I think it just makes more sense to do it on a separate channel. Yeah, I think recently, yeah, I've already talked about Bad Bunny, right? I'm just seeing this, that I have this tab open right now with Bad Bunny. I've been listening to him quite a bit, still enjoying it. Still a lot of stuff I haven't listened to from him. There's also this K-drama I started watching the other day. I don't really watch that much TV or any shows in general. And this one I also only watched 2 episodes, and I'm probably not going to continue watching it unless I really have like a lot more energy and a lot of downtime. Pardon me. I suddenly got a ton of like a burp attack. Anyways, the K-drama is called Teach You a Lesson. It's a pretty new one from 2026, from this year. I think it was released 1 or 2 months ago on Netflix. And honestly, the premise is pretty interesting. I would say it's a very I think for a lot of people the premise in itself is pretty attractive, pretty enticing. It's about Korean, like it plays in Korea, and it's about this newly established government agency that takes care of like those issues at school. For example, bullying issues or stuff like that, like gangs, those kinds of things. And I would say after 2 episodes at least, it really feels like, what is it, justice porn or something like that. Like, you know, you have this very apparent evil guy or evil person or bad person, and then they do the typical bullying, and it's very intense bullying, maybe, at least the first episode was. And then you have this rage towards this perpetrator, right? Like you really want justice to fall onto this person, and you really don't like them, and then basically this government agency sends like this dude who somehow is like this superhuman fighter and whatever. Apparently he's ex-military, but and then he just basically delivers justice. And I'm not sure of the whole series. I only watched 2 episodes, but at least the first 2 episodes, they were all like 1 episode for one storyline or one school. And it really feels like that. Like, I don't think they take themselves too seriously, which I think makes the series more attractive, because it does get kind of ridiculous at times, and also even the whole premise, sometimes it just feels very over the top, you know, like the bullying is like so seriously intense and so bad, and everything just feels like, I don't know, at least to me it doesn't seem very realistic. And I don't think that's an issue, because the series doesn't present itself as realistic in the first place. So I think it all fits pretty good together. It's just maybe not exactly my style, I'm not sure. But I think if you're like maybe someone who used to get bullied or has like this experience, and then you really enjoy watching people get what they deserve, I think at least after 2 episodes, I think that's what this show for sure delivers on. But even if you just want some very entertaining stuff, I think this show is also good for it. I'm not sure about the deeper sides yet. Maybe it does get embraced, like a more deeper and meaningful side, deeper, longer, like further into the series. It has 10 episodes. I don't know that because I only watched the first 2. I actually had to squash a tiny fly on my screen just now because it was like walking over it, and not like a real fly, you know, those even smaller than fruit flies, I would say. But yeah, that was going across my screen, so that's why I had to stretch out my arm. Yeah, anyways, I think I'm gonna keep it at this today, actually below 25 minutes, because I'm feeling a bit fatigued, a bit exhausted, and I hope I can have some of you here again next time, and have a nice week.